Well, good afternoon, everyone. I was just explaining that in 18 months, 6 months as president and a year as vice president, I've not had to cut a single ribbon. This is the very first ribbon I've had to cut, and it gives me great pleasure to cut it. I've just been talking to Bob about what this place represents, and he said something really very significant. He said sometimes as a community, as a Unitarian community, you've got to preach, and sometimes you've got to open a cafe. And I understand the depth of that statement, because too often we Unitarians are, as I'm sure all of you are aware, committed to interfaith work, to trying to bring communities together. But too often, when you do it theologically, you drive people apart. You know, you can have symposiums on theology. The Anglican Church and the Catholic Church have had a symposium on theology for about 100 years. It doesn't seem to have had a great deal of effect. But one thing that always does bring people together is food. There's no getting away from that. I was musing as I was coming over here today, 50 years ago in Pontefract, my hometown, we had one Chinese restaurant. And for 10 years, when I went into that restaurant, I used to eat, I'm ashamed of this, I'm ashamed of it. Don't record this, Bob. I'm ashamed to say. I used to eat liver, chips, and processed peas. That was the dish of choice for me for 10 years. Then, I actually experienced a curry and was quite delighted, but not nearly as delighted as 5 years later, when I'd been married to Morag for a while, that I went to the home of an Indian doctor that Morag worked with and experienced Indian food for the first time, and it was an absolute revelation to me. And this is what's happened throughout the north, particularly throughout Lancashire and Yorkshire. People have warmed to the food of other cultures, and we realize just what richness there is. And if there's richness there in the food, there's obviously richness there in the ideas. And so it gives me great pleasure, and I feel really honored. This is my first ribbon, but I really feel honored to be cutting this ribbon today and to be declaring this One World Cafe open.
Down tools.
Right, come on, John.
This is what I get. Say something for the camera, John. He thinks we're puppets, doesn't he? I don't know.
Right, come on, let's get back to it.
When I was looking at all the different stages moving through, and you see the progress, it's terrific. And the art, the last one I looked at was that woman who was painting, putting all the things up. And then the furniture arrived.
Yeah.
Although, it's not my to have a record.
No.